Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the slodpod, Secret Life of Dads podcast. We've got a very special guest with us today, Lawrence. I'm very, very excited for this chap.
Very excited.
You've managed to bring him in.
Yeah, we'll bring him in like a
CEO of Clapham.
Yeah, I hooked him. We got the big fish, the CEO of Clapham,
who apparently has kids.
Archie, you're a single dad.
Single father to one. I just want to say very, very grateful to be here. Definitely something I'll be adding to my CV. But yeah, nice. Lawrence was brilliant. He connected with me on LinkedIn, which is, my favorite way to communicate. It for business, but also for dating. It is a wonderful dating app. And he said, "Look, do you want to come and deliver some banter on parenting and that kind of?" Said, "Yeah, fine. I've got I do have to apologize. I'm sorry, I'm mufti, but it is it's a mufti day in the office. It's dressed down Thursday. It's great to be here. Thanks."
Well, actually, Matt is single parenting this week. The wife is away, and we thought it'd be good to kind of open up with a little bit of single parenting advice for Matt, just for this week.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. So my wife's in the Maldives, or what did you call it last week? The Maldives.
Maldives.
Yeah. She's gone out there with Davina McCall.
Oh, wow.
Really pally with Davina. Yeah. So I'm single parenting this week, and I'm absolutely knackered.
How do you do it all?
Just firstly, I'm a big fan of Davina McCall.
Yeah,
she's up there.
Do you two go way back? I
had her poster on my boarding school wall. Kelly Brook, Yasmin Bleeth, and Melinda Messenger. So those are 4 cheekers I'd love to take to number 32 in Clapham Common.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt, no, I can imagine. I mean, have you got a nanny?
No, she's in nursery now, so she goes to this like school,
right? Okay,
where we pay an extortionate amount for her to play with sticks every week.
Well,
it's kind of like private school fees, in the woods.
Well, you're doing the right thing. Yeah. If you want your child to turn out well, you must pay a lot of money for nursery education. I went to boarding school since I was 7. And I'm probably the most well turned out and happiest person I know. So I mean, it's difficult if you don't have a nanny. That's what I've got. I'm 24/7 in the city.
Yeah,
it's hard to have time between putting in the calls, meeting clients, and then I have a pretty epic CrossFit routine and team, the Chassis Monsters. Big shout out to the Chassis Monsters. I know they'll be listening. Hello, Wisey. He's a good guy.
He always listens to the slodpod, in fairness.
Yeah. Well, it is popular. It's popular amongst the CrossFitters. And so, having a nanny is great because it allows you to be a parent when you want to be. I think that's the great thing about, being a single parent for me. I dip in and dip out when I want to. The nanny takes care of most of it. But I mean, what is it like just being a single father with no help?
Really difficult. I mean, I feel like if I dipped in and out when I wanted to, my wife might divorce me. So I don't have that luxury. I did actually bump into you in France for the Ruggers. Do you remember?
Yes, yeah.
And one thing we spoke about on the podcast is sometimes having a bit of dad guilt in terms of like being away from them. Do you experience that at all when you're on these boisterous, hedonistic trips?
No, not really. If I'm being honest, I'm old school. I think it's bloody good for them. The more I'm away, the more robust and resilient she will be. Yeah. My dad, he's my best friend. Haven't seen him for quite some time, but you're talking about divorce there. He's been divorced 4 times and he's a happy-go-lucky guy. I mean, he's happier every time, each divorce he's been happier. So bear that in mind if you're thinking about it. But I rarely saw him in my childhood, between him being divorced and me being at boarding school. But it's made me resilient and robust. And actually that's what I'm trying to do. I don't want to be too attached to my daughter.
Yeah.
She is cute. But she's one. She really doesn't offer much in terms of chat.
So in terms of the nanny, if you don't mind touching on that, because obviously it's one of the biggest kind of appointments that you'll make. The nanny is there to look after the child, and the child will obviously grow with that influence. Presumably there was a big interview process. How did you go about making sure that you were selecting the right person for the role?
Lawrence, great question. This is the closest I got to being on Graham Norton or with Piers Morgan. It's not a great appointment for me. I appoint a lot more important roles in my job in the city on a daily basis. I would say the MD of my company, that was a big appointment, because ultimately he's taking on a lot of my responsibility, but I'm making the cash. So those appointments are big. I like getting involved in the grad appointment as well, just because I do love a good CV. I love a guy who's been to a good school in a red brick university. In terms of the nanny, I just had a few, prerequisites. She had to be flexible. Not just with time, but actually flexible.
Right.
We're looking ideally someone who's into yoga or an ex-dancer. Had to be single. Was one of the things that had a bit of pushback, but for me it was important. I didn't really want them being involved with anyone or getting pregnant while on the job. And then, just slim and attractive. I think it's good for my daughter, Johnno Haskell Abendanon Curzon, to just be around someone who's in good nick and good shape, as I am. And then, I just went through a few, and eventually we found Catalina. And she's great. Johnno absolutely loves her. She's flexible.
You sound like you've become quite attached to her.
We have this amazing relationship. Yeah, it has gone past she lives in the house 24/7. I said to her the other day, I came to the kitchen, I said, it's like we're married. It's like we're married. And that was my second warning. She said, third time and I'm out. Because the last time I said, I said to her first time, like, should we just go out Friday night and get a babysitter? And she said, that's not how this works.
Get a nanny for the nanny.
But I've got some pictures on my phone of her. I mean, honestly, unbelievable. That I sent round my WhatsApp group, the Bums and Guns WhatsApp group, and she's just in great shape. And it doesn't annoy me when she goes out because I'd like to know where she's going. She
has a tracker on her, like an air tag.
I have thought about that, but I think that is illegal and could be third strike, and I don't know whether that would be that's what I would like to do. And now you got me thinking, is there ways of doing that? Maybe I could put something in her food.
Where would you put the tag on her without her realising?
I went to boarding school, Matthew, since I was 7, and there are ways and hows of where I put the tracker. I'm quite averse around, different holes. Not just your mouth. There are other holes. There are loads of holes in your body.
Red lines, aren't there? I suppose you've got to be aware of boundaries.
Yeah.
And so just to go.
Not in the office, not in my office.
Okay.
No. Just at home. But in my office, debaggings are a go. Okay. Yeah. Even for the girls in the office. If they don't like it, they can get out. But that's how the city works.
Yeah.
So your daughter's name, run us through that again.
Yeah, Johnno Haskell Abendanon Curzon.
Wow. So again, modern parenting.
Yeah.
No gender stereotypes. What made you kind of settle on that name for your daughter?
Well, it's interesting. I come from a rugby background. I'm probably the greatest semi-pro rugby player to play the game. I could have gone pro, but there was just too much money in the city. And I'm fly half, number 10. They call me the magician or the maestro because I run the line. And I've always had, I've been a hero of. I've got 2 fly half heroes. And when I play rugby now in the change room, I have a poster of Johnny Wilkinson because that's who I want to be on the pitch, and then I have a poster of Andy Good because that's who I want to be off the pitch. So Johnny, he's just been in my life forever, and I just thought that's a strong name. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I do feel like my daughter will play international rugby. She might even cross over into the men's game. That's how good she could be. Honestly, her quads, for her age, unbelievable. And I've compared them to a lot of the kids in her nursery. Again, that was my first warning.
2 Alangi style quads.
She's got 2 Alangi style quads, and I went round the other kids in the nursery, but then the nursery then told me, you can't do that. You can't touch other children. They're not yours.
Okay.
This was strange. And then Johnno, well, we won the World Cup. Johnno, Martin Johnson, another guy that I feel like I've got his demeanour in the city, and I'm quite a serious guy, but underneath it, there's a joker there. I have been known in terms of CrossFit competitions just to have an utter laugh. Some of the stuff we do, the kettlebells. Honestly, I'll show you some videos later. It was so funny. And then Haskell, obviously, I'm very good friends with James Haskell.
DJ.
You should get on this pod because he's now
did he used to play
a
sport?
single father.
Yeah.
So Hask, and then Nick Abendon, who is my best friend and someone I've mentored throughout his career, the greatest fullback to play the game. So there's a lot of rugby in there, and then obviously my surname Curzon.
Yes.
That's a strong name.
Yeah.
It's a strong name. So you're in the city like Monday to Friday?
Monday to
or
Friday.
Or you bit tender Friday mornings that you work from home Friday?
Well, Matthew, that's a great question. I mean, the city is become modern. Some of it I don't like. Back in the old school, you're in there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But Thirsty Thursday is a thing. And I don't know if you've been down Northcote Road. It is the Venice of southwest London. And it does get loose. And I guess now it allows you to work from home on a Friday, a little bit, tender, a bit dusty, if you will. But, I do love getting on the Northern Line. And, every time I do maybe overcook it on a Thursday and I stay at home on Friday, two things happen. I have responsibility of my daughter, which I don't like to be around. Where, she can be a little bit loud on a hangover. I've had a couple of girlfriends like that and I had to get rid of them. And so it's probably good to get out the house on a Friday. And then also if I'm there on a Friday, I normally have to be around for like sort of feeding in the evening, bath time. Those are things that I sort of leave to doing on a Sunday, really. Sunday is the day that I like to spend with Johnny Jono, and that's mainly ball skills, take it to a driving range, all those kind of like good things to do. So sometimes I go in the office on Friday.
Yeah,
depending.
I tried to play golf with my daughter.
How'd that go?
At Wimbledon. It was the worst experience of my life. So she just started walking, and we were teeing we were on the tee box, and there was old school members there who were quite snooty and of the old school.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you come to play golf to get rid of your daughter. And I was like, no, she'll be fine. Got through the first hole, it was all right. And then it was a shithole. She was just running around the green, screaming. And I was like, why have I done this?
Yeah, why did you do that?
I just wanted to play golf.
Yeah.
I wanted to get out of the house. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to mould her from a young age so she gets on the LPGA tour. She's not getting on that tour.
I mean, look, I like the way you're thinking. I like the way you're thinking. I think really sport is so important to any child. I would dread to think that my daughter was terrible at sport because we'd all know that she'd end up getting bullied at school. And I don't want to be one of those guys. In my school, if you were bad at sport or you're into drama, or you were from China and played badminton, you got bullied. Okay. And if you're good at sport, you just live life.
Did you play rugby? Was rugby your sport throughout school?
Rugby was my thing. Okay. I still think about the good times at school, walking down the quad and just looking at my name, number 10.
Is it still there, like on a board?
It's unfortunately they've moved on, I think, from me. But I've got all the team sheets from those years, and sometimes I'll just sit, down, 2:00 in the morning, get it out, have a couple of drams of whiskey, have a little cry, and just look back on those years and think, yeah. That was the time to be alive, I
think it's a great rugby is a great sport for values that cross over into everyday life. I mean, do you have top 3 values from rugby that are directly transferable to life as a parent as well?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I think if you play rugby, you're not really worried about poo at all. I've seen and been around poo all my rugby career. And so that didn't really faze me. And I think guys who play rugby or come from a rugby background are normally pretty good at dealing with that kind of mucky stuff. Yeah. I think, you have to be strong-minded, strong-willed in rugby. And I feel like that's another thing because, when my daughter cries, on the odd occasion when the nanny's not around and she's just screaming and screaming and screaming, doesn't faze me. Do you ever watch SAS Who Dares Wins?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I
haven't watched the latest one with Hancock.
The last bit where they put the kids in. Oh yeah, yeah. I would smash that. Yeah, honestly, like I go into another dimension. I sometimes have that on recording. There's a playlist on Spotify, just babies crying, and if I need to get deadlines done for like Q4, which we're in right now, and the market's buoyant as it is.
Have you got like a Spotify playlist of that you could maybe share? With
I'll get it up. It's the Archie Curzon Spotify list. Yeah, so there's a baby crying. There's a bit of O-Town and a bit of Nickelback, and that normally gets me through a dark night. And I guess the third one is you just have to. I guess you just have to go with the flow. You know, rugby doesn't go to plan. You know, you have a set piece that you practice all the time. You know, footsie 100, which is one of my favorite back moves, and sometimes that doesn't go because you know. Blanchy, who's our outside centre, he sometimes doesn't run the line I want him to run, and I have to dummy, goose, and go. And you have to adapt. And I think parenting is about being adaptable, not adapting, adaptable. Yeah.
Being calm amongst the chaos, isn't it?
Yeah.
Parenting is about being calm amongst the chaos.
What areas of being a dad do you think you could improve on? If you could maybe look back a year and you kind of look back now and think, God, you know, I hate myself for getting a bit frustrated with that situation, or have you just always been the full package in terms of being?
Look, I've got things wrong, as every parent does. I'm not one of those people that beat myself up. I live in the now and the present. I don't look back and think about the times where, you know, Giles Hugo bullied me or Gleb Koshalev hit me with a coat hanger. I don't think about those things that happened at school. And it, you know, really, really hurt me. And, you know, at one point I was bleeding. I remember crying, asking for my housemaster, and then they putting a sock in my mouth. So I couldn't even scream to get my housemaster. So I don't think about things like that. I live in the now and here. So I mean, yeah, there's things I've done. I was a new father. You know, I probably shouldn't have put creatine in the milk in month 1. But you know, for me, that was the aim from get-go. I was disappointed I had a girl. I wanted a boy. I wanted my legacy carry on. I'm now really happy I've got a girl, because the women's rugby, you know, women's rugby is on the up, and there's some phenomenal rugby players, and I love watching women's rugby. Generally, it's entertaining. Can't say that for England, yeah, I mean, creatine, yeah, I got that wrong. You know, it's a lot to do with food. Built on, I had that. She choked on that when she was 2. You do need teeth for that.
Okay.
I
Then
gave my daughter popcorn when she was really young. I realised that's really
yeah.
bad.
Well, anything bad happen or not?
No, she was good, but I just sent a photo to my wife, and she's like, "Why have you given her popcorn?" I was like, "Apparently that's really bad."
It's a big no.
It's a big no. Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
How old was she?
Like 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, little Johnny Johnner has built on now. She's 14 and she loves it. She's got teeth to chew. The problem was she didn't chew it and then it got stuck.
But then just creatine to wash it down.
Yeah, well, we stopped the creatine at that time, but now she's back on it. So we're half milk, half creatine.
Nice. You got her on the BCAAs yet? Or?
No, not that's coming. Year 2. Year 2, we're really going to push her up. But she's in a bulking phase at the moment. So she is. I mean, I think the other thing that I probably need to improve on, and I felt guilty, is I'm pretty hard on her. You know, she can't walk, she can't talk. And I remind her of that every day, you know, and that's old school parenting. I tell her she's not good enough, you know. She gets up on her feet, she takes a couple of steps, and then she sits down. And you know, I shouldn't, but I do. I swear. I say, fucking hell. Now, I was walking age 4 months. I was running at age 8 months. Can you get a shift on? And then, you know, she started saying hi, bye, and I'm like, everyone, you know, says that's cute. I say, well, what can I do with that? That's you know, that's rubbish. I wanted her to say some stuff like, you know, coin, chat, chassis. That would be good banter. That would be Instagrammable. But yeah, I mean, I
imagine
don't.
the view count you'd get.
Oh my God. I mean, that is one of the blessings of having a child. I've really got to say that. And to anyone thinking about getting a child, it is wonderful for Instagram and for interaction and people commenting. I'm blessed for that reason. And that's why I want more. I'd ideally like 7, and then I'd start an account, like Dada7. At Dada7 account, and I'd just share fun little things about being a parent, and I'd have a videographer with me the whole time. I might ask Catalina if she wants to do that, and then we could team up, give her 10% of.
I'm sure you've probably got enough videos of you two anyway.
Well, I'd like more. But she has asked me again. That was another thing she said to me today. Can you take the cameras down in the house? But I said that's for the baby running around.
Now, Archie, I'm a bit of an old romantic, and I love hearing a good birth story.
Yes.
Matt and I talk about birth stories all the time.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
Well, not all the time. We have done. Yeah. would you be happy talking us through your birth story?
Yeah.
And the beauty of bringing life into the world?
I mean, I guess it goes back to the beginning. I obviously at the beginning I said, like, I'm no longer with Johnny Jono's mother. That was a night in Infernos. Mm-hmm. It was an amazing night with the rugby boys, and I'd had a few ales, and on that particular night, I cut loose. I remember 5 had come on. It was about 11:20. I took my top off, and when you do that in Infernos, and you're in the moment, the universe is kind of with you. It attracts women. When I take my top off, I'm in great shape. I've got, as Bradley Shields, the ex-Wasp flanker, said, I've got cum gutters. Those are the cum gutters.
Cum gunners.
Cum gutters.
Oh right, cum gunners.
Yeah, no, cum gutters. Those are the things girls like to see. Lawrence, I've seen you've got cum gutters. Matthew, I'm sure you do as well. It's attractive. Is this hopefully, I don't know, what's the age for this podcast?
Well, it has to be 18 plus now.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Cum gutters. It is a lovely thing to say. Anyway, I was in Infernos. I started talking to this girl, then showing her, we went to a corner of Infernos and I was showing her various videos of my Instagram, all my videos actually, and that took us to about was at 11:20. It was about 2:00 in the morning by the time we finished every single video I'd done on Instagram, which is a great way to because I've got a lot of followers. She was impressed, and I took her back. At this point, I thought she was American, by the way, Lawrence. Now we went back. We watched Living with Lions. One thing led to another, and next thing I know, 6 weeks later. She told me she was pregnant. Now, in between then and, watching Living with the Lions, I'd found out she wasn't actually American. She was from Middlesbrough.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was just a real... Yeah,
what sort of shame would that kind of bring on the family?
Oh, I mean, it was just non-negotiable. Straight away, she wanted to keep the baby. Luckily, she lived in a very, very poor part of Middlesbrough. I mean, it's all poor. So the deal was done. I spoke to a number of people in my family. A brown envelope was arranged, and that was transferred, and that was agreed. Contract was done. So when Johnny Jono was born, she was then Ubered all the way down from Middlesbrough down to Clapham. And I became my journey of a father. And I remember, but in terms of the birth story, I remember I paid for the Uber. So, and that was complicated because I had to move the dot all the way up from London to Middlesbrough,
and then Ubers went that far.
They do. Yeah, if you paid Uber Lux, and if you pay for the subscription, so move the dot all the way up to Middlesbrough, and then I remember just watching the little car.
She came down all by herself.
Came all down by herself. Yeah. Wrapped up. They'd done a good job. Had a babysit. She was in the front seat with the driver, who I'm still friendly with, but he wanted to be part of her life. I said, listen, Jamal, you can't be part of Johnny Jono's life. But he felt like he was there because she was only maybe 3 hours born, and then they put her on the Uber. And she came down. I remember, and I because this is a beautiful thing, because I remember watching, 3 hours, 2 hours and 30 minutes, 2 hours. And I remember that last hour, I thought, your life's about to change. And I did an amazing AMRAP that I'll share with you, Lawrence, so you will love it. And then she arrived crying, or kind of, it was a bit of a mess. And then luckily Catalina was there. She picked her up, and the journey began. And I really haven't looked back. I don't know if Jamal's listening to this, but Jamal, I don't know what camera I'm looking at, but listen, please stop messaging. Please stop messaging me. You look, you did a great job taking her. The tip hopefully was enough. It was £250, which I think was really good, considering I think the journey in all total was 500. That's £750. I don't know how much you'd given to Uber. Please stop that. Yeah.
So
but I gave him 5 stars. Again, 5 stars. I'm sure he's doing really well. Yeah.
Wow. So how do you think you have changed as a person since the little one's come into the world?
It's interesting. I don't think I've really changed, and I think that is the most important thing. I think anyone out there, actually, wonderful story. I was once with James Haskell before he had a baby. We've got daughters at a similar age, and I do remember him distinctly saying that he said to me, if someone tells me again that my life's going to change when I have a baby, I think he was going to beat them up or something like that. But I think the most important thing is like obviously your life changed a little bit. You know, I've now got a lodger or a nanny in my flat. You know, there's no longer I've got a home gym. That's disappointing. You know, that room that I used was going to be a home gym. And then I would have thought that I could have moved my home gym into Johnny. Jono, that doesn't work now. So I have to go to a gym, which is fine. But it just means if I'm strapped for time, I can't really do a good home workout. That's probably how my life has changed. But apart from that, look, you know, things are going well. I took 2 days paternity leave.
Just two.
Just two. Yeah. I mean, because at that time the market was buoyant, and it was go get 'em time. And you know, you snooze, you lose. And so I've got a bit of a rival in the city. My ex best friend Chopsy, who now lives in Putney. Which I fucking hate. You know, I'm not a big fan of Putney area. Just full of hockey guys and shit nightlife. So, but yeah.
Fez, is that Putney?
Yeah.
It's got the dance floor with the flashing multicolored blocks that change.
Lawrence, I wouldn't know. It's
someone told me.
Yeah. It's and Furnace could do that if we wanted to.
Okay.
We could do that if we wanted to. We don't want to do it. We like what we do.
So, I mean, you mentioned LinkedIn a couple of times.
Yes.
And part of being a good dad is giving your child a bit of a head start in life. Is setting up a LinkedIn account early for Johnny Jono something you've thought about?
I've definitely thought. I mean, the most important thing is to get her on Instagram ASAP.
Okay.
I think that really is where the money is at. In terms of getting her in front of brands. Like I said, disappointing. She's not talking yet. She can't really doesn't have the dexterity, is it, to hold a camera or hold a camera and press the button? Which
I feel like that's something you might have tried with her there.
Yes, yeah, 100%, and it's just difficult. My phone is quite big. I like a big phone. I'm not overcompensating for it. And then that, and then I think once she's got into school and she started school, that's age 4 or 5. Then I think it's about just getting her good work experience, and then that's probably where her LinkedIn journey will start. Okay. I think it's really important, and anyone out there looking for a job or is trying to get on the market, LinkedIn is a great place to do that. And if you can show from age 4 that you've been doing work experience, like one of my best friends, Jono Remington Hobbs, who's a really good guy. Remy, we call him, but Jono to you guys, you don't know him. Really, really good guy. He works at Coots Bank, and he's already said, age 4, get her in. She can make the teas and coffees, and to do that for a couple of days, a week. Firstly, would be great if it's in the school holidays, because I wouldn't have to deal with it. And secondly, it's just great experience, for her. So yeah.
So the parents that might worry about their child being around like hot water at that age, do you kind of have any?
Well, that's the problem, Matthew, with this society in this day and age. We've got too many wokies. Hot water. Oh no. Like it's a man. Come on, guys, just get them to work. In other countries, children they're into work age 2, 3. They're in places picking up stuff, getting it. So why not here? I think it's good for me. If I was Prime Minister, I'd get child labour going. I'd get it going ASAP now. Don't worry about AI. Worry about getting kids in. That's what, because my government gets in, which we're hoping to 2033. We would be pushing for kids. 4 maybe too early, but 4 great for work experience, but at least 7 or 8 when they've got a bit of kid strength. We can get them in the offices, working around, pushing, whatever they need to do, and taking ladders to the ladder box. I don't know.
Okay, just
doing faxes.
Faxes.
Yeah.
Moving the conversation on a little bit. You mentioned child's education.
Yeah.
So and sending your child away, presumably to boarding school.
Yeah.
It's a combination. Is it of education for the child, but also there's a degree of prestige for the parent as well. I mean, how do you select the right boarding school for your child?
Oh, prestige in parentinghood is so important. It's like wearing a good brand. It's like, when I'm on the Clapham Common and I'm wearing, always wear my rugby shorts, no matter what time of the year, I'm either wearing Jack Wills or a North Face jacket, or Hugo Boss, just a strong look. to says wealth, and that is with kids as well from the day dot. Now, I don't know, did you guys do NCT?
No, I was COVID, so I missed it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did it.
You did. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I paid for the exceptionally good one because I didn't want to. I just dread to think I didn't want to be with anyone. I like to be on my own. I like to play it safe. That's why I live in Clapham. It's brilliant. And straight away, people are competitive, and that's it. People regularly WhatsApp me on this WhatsApp group, saying, Cornelius has just started, walking and saying stuff. And, I don't care what Johnny Jono, I know Johnny Jono is at the moment limited. I'm thinking she could be dyslexic because she is slow to do a lot of stuff. But I sat back, oh, that's interesting. Well, my daughter's just started speaking Spanish and Italian. And straight away I set the bar high. They know that we're in it to win it. And that's when it comes to schools. When they go to school, I'm begging the best school. It's not the best for education. I don't care about the culture there. How much is it? I want the top one. And then I let people know. And that's a great conversation to talk with clients. When you sit down for lunch, you're like, oh my God.
The fees.
Kids, yeah. Oh, 12 grand a week. I can't bloody believe it. Yeah. So, and then the great thing is I take photos of that child. I can't wait till my daughter goes to like a prestigious school and I can take photos constantly of her going to school in a really nice outfit. And the other people I went to school who have done better than me can see how well I'm doing. So through my daughter, no longer will I need to do Rolex shots or me just on nice holidays. It will just be, look at that badge, zoom in, 12 grand a week in your face. In your face, Gleb Koshelev.
Can I? I'm just going to set a scene here, Archie.
Yeah.
So it's your daughter's 16. She's just started dating.
Yeah.
What happens in your house if perhaps the boy she brings home is a state school lad?
Well, it's a tricky one for me because I was having lunch with a friend of mine who's I don't want to mention his name. He's a PT. But for fitness first, not like you, Lawrence. Okay. He's got no followers on Instagram, and he's a struggle for him. He's a really, really good guy. He does some good content. Don't get me wrong, some great content. But
Alex Marks again?
No. Marksy is. I tell you what, that content, that guy. Big shout out to Alex Marks. He absolutely kills it. And when he does political stuff, that's when I'm in. I dial in. And I'm like, I don't want to see this fitness stuff. I don't want to see you topless. I want to see what your thoughts are on the Conservative Party and Brexit. No, but this is my friend. He goes to. He's got a daughter, and he was saying he's really well to do. His parents. I mean, he's a PT, but he's got wealth in the family. So it doesn't really matter what happens in terms of that. So. He says that more and more people in London are sending their kids to state school because actually private schools are full of like just robots from Russia and China. And so it's an interesting thing. So if he went to a good state school and he was good at rugby, I'd be open to it a little bit. I'd be disappointed naturally. I would like, I have a view that Johnny Jono will marry a banker and he probably will be from Russia or China and he'll probably be very successful. I would hope he's not charming at all. I hope he's just very focused. That's what I would look for in a prospective son-in-law. I'm not too worried about the banter. I've got mates that have banter. I just want a guy who's focused on making a lot of money in the shortest amount of time.
What would you and if he were to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage, what would you kind of expect from him? Like when I went to see Chess's dad, I just went to his work. Asked, what would you expect something more?
Yeah, brown envelope. Yeah, straight away. And if he doesn't, that's a big no for me. I'm in that sense though. Just about boys. I think a lot of people would say, "Oh, you seem like this sort of." Conservative guy. Are you? I bet people are thinking, "Oh, you wouldn't let your daughter sleep around." Absolutely, I would. Whether I had a son or daughter, I want them to be top shaggers, and I want them out there and about. Personally, as a parent, I'd be saying to my daughter or my son, "Don't you dare get in a relationship until you are at least 27. You get out there, you explore yourself and your body." I mean, I spent my gap year in Canary Wharf, and that's exactly what I did. I explored myself and my body and other people's bodies.
Yeah.
Crikey.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got you mind if I just throw out a few fatherhood quotes? I did a bit of research.
I'm excited for this.
So I've got a few different ones. In no particular order, Archie. It says, one father is more than 100 schoolmasters. And that's a quote from George Herbert.
No, I haven't heard that before.
But that's one
Sounds
father
very boarding school
is more than 100 schoolmasters. I mean, I know that you have a close relationship with your dad, but presumably the schoolmasters that you had in school were influenced as well.
Yeah, I mean, I had some wonderful housemasters, Mr. Sargent, Mr. Cook. I had a Cookie, Carlos, good guy. He taught me everything I kind of knew. Actually, he left to be my boarding house and then went to work in the city, and I consequently went and worked for him. And he was the one, he gave me some great advice, talking about golf. He's the one that said, just loosen your arsehole. And if you do that, you will hit a better shot. And I tried and tested it. And that's in every scenario. When I'm stressed, I just loosen my arsehole. My arsehole is very loose right now. And that's why the banter is on point.
But I wasn't taught that at school.
No, it was. And weirdly...
that's what you're paying the 12 grand a week for. Sort of
that kind of, those nuggets. Oh, well, I guess she wouldn't get that from school. In a way, she'd get it from me. And that's like your 100 housemasters. The only problem is I have had a very close relationship and a well-documented, if we can go for a number of years, I had a close relationship with my geography teacher, Mr. Matthews, and that was difficult to sort of map through. It started very close. It started innocently, just with him saying, I need to borrow a ruler, and then he asked me, do I want to borrow the little one, the hard one, the long one, the bendy one, and what I thought was just innocent chat turned out to be quite sinister in the end. I thought he genuinely was just interested in my day when I was having a shower after rugby, and that's why he was talking to me while I was having a shower. Turns out it was all, I don't want to go into detail because we're going through a legal thing. That's the problem. Don't want to get too close to your teachers or your parents because you never know what they're trying to get you from, and it's been a minefield to deal with. And even to this day, I'm a 37-year-old man that's done pretty well. I'm constantly bombarded with messages from Mr. Matthews. And, it's difficult because I can't see everyone who signs up to my OnlyFans fan page. So, and he's getting the goods and I can't stop that. Yes, he's paying for it. So
I guess that's something we have to, our kids coming up with technology now. You mentioned OnlyFans there. Yeah. What if your daughter came to you one day and said, Dad, look, I've set up an OnlyFans account. I feel like I can monetize this and do really well off of it. Where would your head go? I
think I'd just be really proud. I think that's entrepreneurial. And, as long as she's getting the right amount of cash and she's making a lot of money, then yeah, why not? Again, that probably helps me. I'm from a rugby background. I love nakedness. For me, that's my sense of humor. If people, I can't show you where, the Clapham Falcons, the rugby team I play for, we got a WhatsApp group. And I would say, on a weekly basis, we'll get at least one dick pic, or some other part of your body, and that's where I'm like, and I've actually talked to him about we should monetize this, and so with my daughter, she did it in a classy way, and you can do it in a classy way. I've watched classy porn, and I think in that terms, I'd hope she could use her brains, but if she's got an OnlyFans page and she's in good shape, which I imagine she will be, I would imagine that would come to the end of her career because the way I map it out, she'd go to university, she'd get spotted, she'd probably be on the fast way to rugby, and then she retires. She might slightly, as we've seen for many rugby players, struggle with coming out of the game, but still be in good shape. And that way she thinks, why not now? Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I was approached by OnlyFans way back in the day, in the sort of COVID years, 2020.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, they got in touch and they offered to set me up with an account and give me a blue tick from the start.
Really?
I had never heard of them before, and I kind of looked into it, and I looked into it, and I emailed back saying, "Thank you very much." Well, I was like, it looks a bit like an adult entertainment site. And they replied back saying, yes, we could absolutely see why you would see that. Yeah. Would you like to set up an account? We'll fast track you, etc., etc. But of course, I didn't go ahead with it. But that was,
I can see that. I mean,
You
Lawrence,
do well off it, Lawrence.
you're a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
When you got a good piece on you?
It depends. Depends on
the mood.
Yeah,
The mood,
like with you loosening yourself, I guess I need to get into the right
Because
headspace.
I'm one of the charities I work with is the MPF Foundation, which is the Micro Penis Foundation, and a couple of the guys on that, they've started a OnlyFans page, and they actually, there's a market for that as well. So I'll just say, you don't worry if you haven't got one. You know, there's a market for everything.
Okay.
Wow.
And that's one of the things what we have actually seen. We've managed to raise some really good funds for a big shout out to the MPF Foundation.
How did that initial relationship?
They reached out to me and they just thought that I'd be a good figurehead for them. You know, some of the work I'd been doing. I don't really know, but I mean, they feel like I'm a really good sort of figurehead for that movement, and I'm happy to take it on. You know, those guys out there, they're struggling. It's difficult. I wouldn't know, but it is difficult sometimes. You know, when because in this day and age, you think. You shower with other guys and you play rugby and you compare yourself, and that is difficult because you just, you know, it's not. It's sometimes like you can be a grower and not a shower, and then that's sometimes it's difficult for guys to speak about it, and I would, you know, that's why I'm here to say, you know, don't worry about it. You know, it's fine.
Wow. Looks like
I
touched a nerve with you.
No, not at all. I know what you're going to try and get at is that, you know, 2 years ago. In the Clapham Post, there was photos of supposedly me. Well, it wasn't me. Where I've now proved that.
I think I remember.
Yeah.
Those.
So that wasn't me. And look, I'm not saying like I've got a really big, but it's not small. I've measured it's medium. From what I can read on Google, it is pretty like apt, and that's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, the point is that the MPF, they need support. So please do, if you listen to the pod, head to www.mpfmicropenisfoundation.com. That's www.mpfmicropenisfoundation.com, and please donate because they need your help. We need your help. I need your help. No, they need your help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Should we move on from the micro?
Yeah, another quote maybe.
Yeah. I love quotes.
I feel like that really touched a nerve.
No,
with
I
you,
mean,
like,
yeah, I mean,
okay.
No, not at all.
No,
No, I'm absolutely fine.
yeah, I think everything's fine.
Yeah.
So-
So he looks like he's.
No, I don't
crying.
think so.
Okay. Are you sure?
So moving on to the quote: "Never is a man more of a man than when he is the father of a newborn," and that was Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
He's got
his
some
book,
good quotes, hasn't he?
Green Lights.
Yeah.
His current autobiography. I've read that a couple of times. Never is a man more of a man than when he is the father of a newborn. I mean, did you find yourself change? Did something change within you, even if hormonally, emotionally, something deep down when you became a father? I'd be interested to know.
I just remember thinking, I cannot wait to put this up on Instagram and let people know I've had a baby. And I
What
guess
was the sort of like count on that first post?
it was
Did it
a
blitz everything
big
else?
whopping one. I was like, I've arrived. I have arrived on Insta. So yeah, that I can understand why Matthew McConaughey is saying that, but yeah, it's funny because I get a lot of people saying to me in the kind of right light, I've got a sort of Matthew McConaughey kind of look. That and Dean Gaffney.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
It's
so
the longer hair.
yeah.
So one thing as a parent that we try and juggle is like screen time. You know, sometimes if your child is having a bit of a meltdown, it's very easy to pop them in front of Peppa Pig or anything like that. How do you deal with your child when she is going completely psychotic?
Wow, that's a really good question, and definitely something I can help you guys with and your listeners. I have, and this is a wonderful trick. I've got Dylan Hartley's autobiography on audio, and I just pop that on, and normally the results are incredible. She'll settle down, almost be sleep like.
Before the first chapter.
But I think because he reads it, and so I think even the first couple of pages, and it just has the effect. She's screaming, pop it on. You know, I remember when I was the captain of England, You know, and you know, even now you hear that, it makes you sort of sleep like,
It's relaxing,
doesn't it? It's yeah.
It's lovely.
So yeah, that's
Maybe it should
that
be on
that.
the calmer.
So I mean, screen time. Yeah, it is a tricky one, but I mean, for instance, I went to the pub during the World Cup to watch the game. Catalina had to go back to Sweden for a funeral, which was a bit irritating because it was World Cup. And we had a bit of a fight about it. But I took Johnny Jono, I strapped her on there, and actually it was great because screen time in those circumstances, we actually decided to get right on the piss.
Right.
Yeah, right on it. I mean, you name it, we were there. She was, England. And I remember, you know, I just gave her my phone, and I just said, I mean, she understands a lot more than she can say. I said, just look at that. And it was my content. And I was just saying, some of the videos on there are like 5 minutes long.
Well,
So I just said, just keep swiping, keep swiping. That gave, for 3 hours, she was there like that. Pissed me off. She didn't laugh at all, or didn't seem to have any takeaway. So it was a bit annoying, but it was brilliant because in that time it allowed me just to get really on it. And then that was actually a lovely moment that night because I remember we finished at on Northcote Road at the Eagle. Do you know the Eagle on Northcote Road? Yeah, really good pub, real good boozer. And I was absolutely smashed. I booked an Uber, and Jamal picked us up.
No, he was back.
Yeah, picked us up, and it was wonderful. And
Is that not slightly disconcerting that he's just kind of there?
Well, it just
Is he
seemed-
not based up in Middlesbrough?
no, he travelled. He'd done a job and come back down, and he was there. He took us home, and it was a
should
real.
maybe look into
It was
that a
lovely.
little
No,
bit more,
because
mate.
he took us both up to our house, and he stayed the night. Because I think he was worried about how drunk I was, and that was it was a beautiful moment actually. So yeah, a lot to be thankful for the Rugby World Cup. Yeah, nothing ever bad happens when I drink. That's the good thing, really. A lot of people in their life sometimes they drink and bad things happen. Not me. Only good things.
Yeah. So one thing as well, when you become a parent, sometimes like going on holidays and trips and stuff might be quite difficult. I don't know if you ever feel that when you sometimes go somewhere with your children and you can kind of just look at your partner and you just go, oh, why have we done this? So, what will you kind of do then in terms of like going on like Lions tours or the next Rugby World Cups in Australia, I believe?
Yeah.
Would that be like no problem taking your child with you, or would you?
No, she ain't coming. No, that will be like, let's get help in, even more help. Let's get like a night nurse and a day nurse and the nanny and the cleaner to all help do, round the day care. By that time, I'm hoping she'll be 4. She should be pretty self-sufficient, at least to go downstairs and do cereal and like sit there and just get on with it. I mean, really, you just need someone to take her out for a walk. It's like a dog, isn't it? You just take her out for a walk, let them have a play, bring them back, feed them, put in front of the TV, bed, and do that. How long's the Lion tour? 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So it's only 3 weeks. She'd do that round the clock.
Yeah, wouldn't be too.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too bad. And got 4 different. I think she'd actually really enjoy it. In a way, it's nice way of life. It's simple. It's routined. Yeah.
Right.
One more quote.
One more quote.
Yep.
So one more quote. I know we're getting towards the end now, but this is again, it's a big personality. I know that you like to listen to his music as well, Archie. This is by Michael Bublé.
Really
getting
good
to
guy.
that time of year.
Yeah.
as well. Christmas around the corner. Fatherhood is the greatest thing that could ever happen. You can't explain it until it happens. It's like telling somebody what water feels like before they've ever swum in it. Quite poetic as
Yeah.
well.
You sure that's Bublé?
Michael Bublé, yeah.
I thought you were going to say Chad Kruger, the lead singer of Nickelback, when you said I listen to a lot of his music. Bublé, yeah, it's Christmas time. I do enjoy him. That's interesting. I mean, look, having a kid is great, but I would say try hearing the news that you're getting your full bonus after working your socks off a year. That's pretty amazing when it's a 6-figure bonus. That's like swimming in water. That's like, knowing about water before swimming in it, because that's like and then, and there you go, bonus. But yeah, I mean, look, having kids is great. It's for me, I've really enjoyed it, but I also find it a bit of a nuisance. It gets in the way of a lot of stuff I want to do. I've got big plans, and I've had to adapt those plans a little bit. more financially because it costs a shitload for having a nanny, but it's worth every penny. Every penny. But yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I guess in parenthood, it is nice in some ways. I think it'll be nicer when I'm really old and she'll be able to look after me, and that will be a wonderful, wonderful moment.
Where do you hope she'll put you when it comes to it, in terms of like a home, or do you feel like
Yeah. I'm all about getting to a home. I mean, that's literally going back to boarding school. That will be awesome. I mean, get me in a home ASAP. I'm ready to get in a home at 50. I'll retire at 45, get on the piss for 5 years, get really loose, probably have some sort of mental breakdown or physical deficiency, and I'm right in a home, and I'll be like with the boys every day. Yeah. You get your tray at lunchtime. Will be wonderful. Ping pong. I mean, what else do you need? People seem to fear that. I'm like, get me there. She can come bring me out exits and take me out for a couple of weekends, and then just get me back. I'll be gagging back to get back to the boys. And in that boarding school, you can drink. So imagine how loose it'll get.
No, Archie, I know you need to dash off soon. Thank you so much again for the time.
No, thanks for having me.
Appreciate
Wonderful.
it. But we always like to wrap up the show with just 2 questions to our guests. Mm-hmm. What is the best parenting advice you've been given, and what is the worst?
The worst bit of advice I've been given parenting is those people before you have a child, they keep going around and they'd be like, oh, your life's gonna change, sleep. I mean, it's a load of bollocks. It's for me. I'm just like, that's the worst thing you can do. Stop putting your misery on me. I'll be absolutely fine, okay? And you can tell I have 10 hours of sleep a night.
You look great.
I feel great. I feel like I'm at my optimum. So that hasn't changed. And the best bit of advice is in a way, it was from my dad, and it was just a wonderful moment because I remember I called him, and I just got off the Northern Line, and I'd had one of those exquisite, from Bank to Clapham Common. The service was phenomenal, and saying, we're really proud of Clapham. And I remember getting out, and it was a lovely sort of summer's day, and I thought I got to tell my dad. And I walked out, and Joe Public, the pizza place, was alive. There's real buzzy. I went into Waitrose, and I got my standard 6 breasts of chicken. I got some nice crackleberry eggs, and I got a bag of spinach. And I got a really nice organic floret of broccoli. I remember it distinctly, and I went to the self-checkout, and that went smoothly again. I thought, wow, Clapham is efficient. And then I was going to go and just have a quick drink and see a couple of boys in the pub. I thought, no, I'm just going to walk through Clapham Common. It was one of those days where there was not a cloud in the sky. There were some lovely chicas still getting in a bit of the sun, on their body. So, wore sunglasses so you still have a look. And then, and I rang my dad, and I said, I remember he said, who's this? I said, it's me. He said, Joe? I said, no, it's Archie. And he said, Arch. I said, your son. He said, oh, sorry, I thought Joe, we've got plumbing problems. So we talked a lot about the plumbing. For a lot of that conversation was he had a nightmare because he has his big house in the countryside in Hampshire. And they had nightmare plumbing. And 90% of that call, 95% of that call was probably about the plumbing. But it was a nice conversation. I didn't really know much about plumbing, but he sort of got a lot off his chest. And I felt like that was a nice moment for us. And at the end of it, he said, I've got to go because Joe's calling. And Joe was calling the plumber actually because he said he didn't have my number saved. I think he was calling, I don't know. And then I said to my dad, listen, I'm having a baby. And he just said, you're on your own, and then put the phone down. And in a way, on the way, that is the best bit of advice, because you don't want any help. You don't want anyone to tell you preconceived ideas. Mm-hmm. And I was on my own. And that was the moment I just thought, yeah, I'm on my own. I'm going to do it my way, and no one's going to tell me any better. And I've done that, and she's still alive, and it feels like it was a real good moment. And so I guess my advice to anyone out there who's going to have a baby or going, you're on your own. Tough luck. You did it. You did the deed. Mm. You watched British Lions. You knew what was going to happen, You having a baby?
I think that's a great place to wrap up.
Yeah.
Episode 3 of the SlodPod. Just a little disclaimer for maybe the viewers or anybody watching this. Like, not all of Archie's parenting techniques maybe should be followed through with. So maybe just take them with a pinch of salt. What he said, it's great to get an insight into a different style of parenting. There's a few things that I might be putting into my journal that maybe not. But it's always great. We're all about, getting different walks of life on this show, different styles of podcasting. We can't thank you.
And what I would say is just a disclaimer at the end of your disclaimer is absolutely everything I said. Don't take it with a pinch of salt. It's absolutely how I do it. And if you've got a problem with it, I'm at Archie Curzon on Instagram. Please feel free to message me. I really look forward to your complaints, and I will 100% come back to you. And if you don't get through, just go to my office and get me.
We should probably start to wrap that up now.
Love and champagne.
Like
Thanks for
episode 3
clarifying,
over
gentlemen.
and out.
Wonderful episode. Bye, everyone.
Finish.
Bye-bye.
Finish.